I've been attacked by 5 pit bulls. I'm a UPS driver. They got a vein. I'm bleeding profusely. And
okay.
I'm getting. Can't get to you, but I'm gonna need it.
Okay, I'm getting paramedics on the line with us. Hold on, okay?
I'm trapped on a trailer. I'm bleeding profusely on my left leg. They got a vein.
Okay.
I can't get out there. As I said, they surrounded me.
Pit bulls are a breed that get overlooked as violent, disruptive kinds of dogs. But I mean, as you can see in these videos, they just want a home. And you can tell that some of them are scared. Some of them are happy to be finally played with. But I mean, if you just take the time to look at these dogs in a different perspective, then the overlook of these dogs will be greatly changed. Not just here in El Paso, but everywhere across the nation. Doesn't matter if it's the United States, Canada, Mexico. We can change the outlook of these dogs little by little. Then these dogs will be perceived for the better, and the dogs will have a better future going forward.
Back in early 2016, Animal Services was part of a shelter reform plan that was approved by the City Council and also the city leadership, the City Manager's Office. Now, the reform plan came about after advocates in our community realized just how many animals were being euthanized here in El Paso. And us, as the only open admission shelter in the region, this is where the animals would be brought to. So after a lot of input from the community, it was decided to put a plan together. That was towards late 2015, and then the plan was presented in early 2016. And that plan included all types of best practices from other successful shelters in cities like Austin, Tucson, other places that have gone no-kill. And that's kind of what the direction that we wanted to go as a city, to see how we could save more lives of our shelter pets. So once that was approved, a lot of changes happened here at the facility. From this play yard that we're in now, this was one of the features that was added around that same time of the reform effort to make it a friendlier place for our animals to meet potential family members, and also for them to get exercise. Another best practice that we noticed from other communities. Also, the way we manage our animals, meaning how they flow through the shelter and their options for coming out through adoption, through fostering, or even just reconnecting with their owners, taking a more proactive approach of making sure we could keep those owned animals with their owners. So we've seen a lot of progress. Our volunteer program, like Alejandro here is a volunteer, has really grown, and really we can't do it without the community's help. So fosters or volunteers, our foster program, people that just come in and donate, that all helps us, and that's really been an effort of the community, not just of the shelter, which is where we're at today, where just this past month in March, more than 91% of the animals that entered the facility made it out alive, which is considered, being no-kill. Our goal is to have an annual average of 90% or higher of the animals coming out alive, but for the past 2 months we've been in the 90s, which is the first time the shelter has ever been had that high of a live release rate. When you look about 2013, only about 25% of the animals were making it out of here alive. So some big changes brought on by the community and our city leadership. So just to give you guys an overview of kind of where we're at and where Animal Service has been. Here in El Paso, we get more than 37,000 animal-related calls from our Animal Protection Division, and about 2,000 of those are standards of care, meaning they could be potentially neglect issues where an animal just doesn't have food or water, or they could be abuse issues where an animal is intentionally being put in a situation where they're suffering. A lot of investigating goes into that, but to see how El Paso has kind of grown to become just in general an animal welfare community, a community that values its animals, whether they're owned or not owned, really says a lot about El Paso and how far we've come. So I think having that component where we are actively addressing, animal cruelty, animal neglect issues is a big step forward just for any community. And there's a lot we're doing, but there's always a lot more that we can be doing. And so we look on doing that and just finding a way to constantly improve on those type of cases, because the animals, we always say it, don't have a voice. They can't come out and say that they're in danger. So for the residents out in the community that report these cases, we applaud their efforts, because that gives us a sense of where we need to be and where we need to investigate.
Do you think there's enough?
The way we're structured here in El Paso, as I mentioned, we're the only open admission shelter, meaning that anyone that wants to surrender an animal or any stray animal that is found is brought here, including the animals in the county. The sheriff's office has their own animal control division. They bring their animals here. We also have bigger shelters and smaller rescue groups. Our Humane Society, our partner next door, they're one of our big rescue partners, big shelter. They also take in animals on a case-by-case basis as well. So I really think from a sheltering standpoint, I'm proud of what we're doing here at El Paso Animal Services. But one thing that we do need to work on is try to decrease the number of the animals coming in. I don't think it should be an item of we need more shelters, we need more spaces to house more animals. It should be about keeping the animals that have homes, keeping them with their owner, and also finding homes for the animals that are here. So for us, it's a lot more about getting the community involved in our mission, to the point where the animals shouldn't have to live out their lives here at a shelter. They should live out their lives with a family and in a home. Oftentimes we'll take an animal, and it could be a large animal like a pit bull, or it could be a small animal like a chihuahua, where we take them out of, let's say, the kennel area and just put them in an office environment in a crate. And we immediately see a change in their behavior. We try to assess all that. Do they do well with other animals, dogs, cats? And really, the true answer is we see it in all kinds of breeds. Do we get animals that come in at times that are very aggressive? We do, and we try to find avenues for them. But sometimes there is no avenues for animals that may pose a serious danger to the community. And that's where we have to make that hard decision of, do we have to euthanize? And again, that decision we don't take lightly, which is why we let the animals settle in, so we could get a true gauge of their personality. We try to see if there's rescue partners that could provide that extra care and attention that hopefully could reshape that behavior. And again, that's something that we've tried to expand on here at Animal Services. We currently have one behavior and enrichment personnel member. We're going to be hiring a second one this summer as well to help us with that large amount of animals that we have in this facility, to give them a better outcome. You could talk to any one of our volunteers, like Alejandro here, and he's seen dogs that on one day might be very scared and showing a different personality, and he spends time with them. And she's a pity mix, right? Or she's a pity mix, and you can tell she's doing just well. And she could have been showing signs of being fearful, aggressive in her kennel. So this is kind of the approach that we like to take now, is really giving our animals a fair chance. Of course, the pit bull and any large animal is very different when you start looking at that from a smaller animal to a bigger animal, for the potential of what it can mean, when they bite. A Chihuahua bite is very different from, let's say a Rottweiler or a pit bull bite. So for us to see this particular issue with a certain breed really isn't kind of an issue we're seeing now. Really what we're seeing is more of a size of the animal. So our Huskies, our German Shepherds, they're well sought out through the community, but then we have a lot of, terrier mixes, retriever mixes that sometimes will be here at the shelter 2-3 months. Of course, the pit bulls are on there. So one thing we always try to let the customer and our visitors know is it should be more of a connection about the animal's personality than it is about, their breed. And that's really how we view all the animals that come in.